The last few years haven't been fun for holders of Fundsmith. So, what's been the reason for this and what can we learn from it? Fundsmith is one of the UK's largest active funds and it's run by Terry Smith. And we've got the performance here, and it's been in the bottom quartile of performing funds across most of the time frames, apart from 3 years when it was in the second to bottom quartile. And its 1 year performance here is ranking 190 out of 228 funds. So one reason for its performance is that it's a very concentrated fund. It only has around about 30 holdings. It has over 50% of the equity is in the top 10 holdings, and some of the companies that it does choose to buy are a bit duff. I mean, when I heard it had Greggs, I choked on my steak bake. So what happens with concentrated funds is that when they get it wrong, they're going to lose quite a lot. And then when they get it right, correspondingly, then they're going to be kind of stock market darlings. But it's unlikely that outperformance is going to last for years and years. And eventually, funds like this might meet their comeuppance. The Fundsmith did have initially good performance, largely between the years of 2015 and 2021, and this also corresponded to the years when it had strong inflows of capital. And what it did with those inflows of capital was it bought shares in companies that it already had holdings in, and that helped drive prices up of those companies. And then correspondingly on the way down, when it's losing money through outflows, it's got to sell its holdings as well. And that again puts the fund a bit under pressure in terms of performance. So Fundsmith is largely involved with growth at a reasonable price, and this form of investing has kind of been out of favor a little bit. I mean, recently we've seen value do quite well, and then also we've just seen like wacky technology growth like Nvidia do incredibly well, and Fundsmith isn't really in either of those. It's had a bit of bad luck around some of the sectors that it likes. Things like healthcare has come under pressure, as have consumer staples during periods of high inflation. And here's some data from my ETF tracker that you can get by signing up to my newsletter, and it shows some value funds hitting 52-week highs. But what I don't like about Terry Smith is there's kind of an arrogance about him. He doesn't really want to admit to actually making mistakes in some of his stock pickings. And then also, he's now based in Mauritius, so he doesn't really have the oversight that he used to have with the fund. If I locked him in an ex-council flat in Luton and told him to make me some money, I think his performance would be a lot better than if he was sitting in a hammock on the beach in Mauritius. And then also there's rather high fees at about 0.94% that don't help either. So could we expect a reversal of fortune at some time in the near future? Well, I'm not so sure. Those fees are going to be a drag on performance, and the concentrated nature of the fund does kind of put me off. So this whole debacle shows to me the importance of reviewing your portfolio on a regular basis and checking how well funds are performing, whether they've had some kind of change of strategy or manager, which hasn't been the case here, or whether they've just kind of lost their way a bit, which is kind of inevitable. And although chopping and changing funds every few months isn't a great idea, it's still not good to hold on to your losers for longer than you really have to. And these days, we can just ask ChatGPT what we think of various funds, and we'll get a fairly decent answer. Here's what it thinks about Ranmore Global Equity. So it's talking about some of the key strengths of the fund. It's talking about the performance of the fund. It gives me some summary detail and a final verdict. So these days, information is kind of free, and you can get quite a good handle on what might be suitable for your portfolio. You don't really need a financial advisor anymore to help you pick the right investments. But maybe some people could do with a coach or a sounding board just to help them with their overall strategy, or just to give some comments on what they might like to pick to put into their pension or ISA. And from time to time, different pension providers have cashback deals that you can take advantage of if you do a transfer. And here's a current cashback deal from Interactive Investor. As we wave goodbye to Fundsmith, you might want to consider something else to put in your portfolio. There's lots of interesting things out there, and I've highlighted a few things you can look at in this video.